This is the last question for my media evaluation. It is it is how did you use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? Firstly, technologies used in research, I used a vast amount, varying from websites such as YouTube to the IFPI database websites. What else? I used things like Twitter and Wix, of course. I went to the OCR blog, and so they was used. So I wanted to get familiar with that. So in terms of research, one of the most technologies I used were like YouTube, blogs, other blogs by professional people, websites about music history and that sort of thing. In terms of planning stages, I suppose when I was planning, it was almost like creating at the same time, because I was using all these different technologies, such as the Adobe software, Photoshop, Fireworks, Flash Player, to see how I would do different effects. So when I actually got into starting to create my effects, if the thought in my head could be translated onto visual images or things like that. So in terms of media technologies, I found it quite useful. In terms of the Digipack, the technologies that I really found useful were YouTube videos guiding on how to use Adobe, Photoshop, different effects, which I found quite useful. Also, I included something called, which is quite new technology, called quick response codes, where if you have a photograph and you can basically have an app in the iPhone where you take a picture and then search it up, it takes you to a website. So I thought that would be really interesting to put on the front cover of my Digipack, basically the front cover of the album. In terms of Digipack creating, what I found useful was looking at other Digipacks. This was basically done through like file sharing sites, because Digipacks, they were quite hard to find, because a lot of people, they don't care about Digipack when they're file sharing or downloading albums. They just want to listen to the music, which was quite damaging, so I had to look at physical things. In terms of research technologies, what I really found useful were things such as scanning. I use websites such as Crypt quite a lot, which is basically where you can upload any sort of document and it displays, which I thought was really useful, especially because otherwise I would have spent ages copying, pasting, rewriting, creating the videos again and that sort of thing. So it was really useful to just write something on a Word document, upload it onto script.com, and then basically just embed it onto my blog. It was useful, and of course the great thing about it was time saving, whereas in the pre-internet, pre-digital age, people would have to typewrite everything, if not handwrite, and I've seen previous generations do it, and it seems like it's a very time consuming job, so all the more respect to them. When I was constructing my website, all throughout the stages I used similar technologies, such as, for example, when I was taking the pictures, I made sure that I took the pictures on like a high, I took the pictures on a high detailed camera, so that when I was taking those pictures, they translated to very high. Translated to being very professional looking shots as well. In terms of the website creating, when I was trying to use Dreamweaver, I found it quite difficult in terms of putting on all those different links, copying and pasting things. In terms of images, you had to create something and then of course put it in the same file, which no disrespect, but I think it's a waste of time as compared to technologies such as Wix.com, where they use the same software, but it's much more useful and it's much more. It allows people to be more creative, more unique, because all their time is in wasted on just basically uploading one picture when they can upload 7 and edit them on there. They can have different effects, which of course pushes the creative boundaries of the project. Furthermore, while I was creating the website, I did look at, in terms of the website and the digipack, I looked at different websites where I can get different pictures, create different images, which were distorted pictures, that sort of thing, which I already had quite a lot of knowledge from last year, thankfully, which saved quite a lot of time as well. In terms of the music video, firstly, the camera we used this year, it was much more, it's a HD camera, and it used the SD memory card, like the one I'm using right now. And to be honest, this was a lifesaver because of the HD and the capabilities of the camera. All the shots we took in central London, these were professional, beautiful shots, and of course we were quite surprised by their quality, because last year we used the old cameras which had the tapes in, which one of the most worrying things was that that the footage might be deleted, which was a non-issue this year. Furthermore, while I was creating stuff, while I was looking at other music videos, I used YouTube, as I previously mentioned, or other similar video sharing websites if they weren't available. When I was researching, seeing what I don't want to do, for example, the Nelly strip drill video, which was not available on YouTube, of course it was quite useful, because most of the video sharing websites, if I wanted to know where was this created, people would usually comment about things like that. So if I, for example, in one of the Ayumi Hamasaki videos, I left a comment asking people about one of the effects used, and of course it was quite rapidly someone replied with the effect and what software to use. In terms of music videos, the camera was a really big help, but I thought was even bigger help was the amount of self-help given to people. For example, I used to play this game called RuneScape, and on it people usually used to make videos of the gaming stuff, which I thought was really useful, like game guides and that sort of thing. So I had experience with music video creating, but in terms of music videos there was so much more standards and much more things that needed to be ticked. In terms of technology, what I found most useful was the amount of help given. For example, when I wanted to put fire effects in, which I did not put in the final cut of the video, I found this website which is really useful. It basically let people download like clips of fires, different effects and things like that, which I felt was really helpful. There was also guides on how to use the software, the video editing software we used. In terms of technology, I already know about Web 2.0 or Web 3.0 websites, and in terms of going back to the website, Web 3.0 technology is what I believe Wix is where basically you can basically create anything on that website as long as you know what you want and how you want to do it. So in terms of 3.0 technology and the video, I thought it was really useful, because almost immediately there was all these guides available to anyone who wanted to actively create videos. And of course it was quite interesting, because I think now, due to technology, time is saved to such a strength that is pushing people's creativity to whole new limits, whole new levels. For example, you can basically create a decent web music video at the comfort of your own home and your own financial abilities, whereas music recording companies, labels, they basically splash out millions and hundreds of thousands of music videos where you can have much more creative, much more useful, much more memorable videos, just with like £1,000 budget videos. In terms of our budget, it was really cheap, but the good thing was that the mise en scene we wanted to use, it was already available. Of course, blogs was one of the main things in the video. For example, the specifications on the OCR website, it was available it was available on the OCR blog as well, which I did look at sometimes, because it's better to have all the help you have in the world rather than no help and it wasn't anything wrong or anything. So I suppose media technologies have helped me, but I suppose it's all the new technologies which are taking on to new strengths. For example, when we looked at advertising Abby Singer, it was very helpful because we looked at Facebook advertising, which is suddenly started growing rapidly in the last couple of months, which is worth millions and billions now. So it really helped people it really opened me up to this new area where you can basically target your actual core audience by their preferences on Facebook, which I thought was quite interesting. To be honest, I even now it's hard for me to imagine how difficult it would have been without technology, because I remember last year with all the old technology and it was absolute pain, whereas this year I enjoyed the project because all the creative outputs were available to me, the software, the technology, the cameras, and everything else, which was really useful. So I suppose technology, especially in the olden professional cameras, old style, where you had to put the film in, where if you had to cut out the one, I'm talking about the silo, about the old cameras where you had to cut out the film and choose the shots that you wanted, which was, I suppose, was a real pain. And of course with digital cameras, the great thing about them is that you can have high quality sound and image, and of course there's always going to be improving models. So I believe technology has really changed media, and of course the great thing about it is that technology has pushed people's creative boundaries to whole new levels, especially in this industry, especially in this time, especially when we are having this credit crunch. Now, I realize that companies doesn't need to just throw away cash money. They can just basically do it for cheaper if they just put the effort in and just utilize technology appropriately. Thank you for listening, and I hope you understood all of it. Thank you very much.